Frankly, you don't need to know more than that. The easiest two are Korea and Vietnam. You will never be asked to write an essay on the Korean War, but you will be asked to write on the Cold War. And you just have to kind of put these components together. You never have to know all the details. You don't need a single battle about the Korean War, but you need to know containment. You need to know that Truman Doctrine. We're going to pledge to support people wherever they're resisting communism around the world. Understanding, guys, that the Korean War is totally a stalemate. Futility of war, I just always like to remind myself of that. The same thing is going to essentially occur in Vietnam, a near stalemate, despite the U.S. involvement. We're not going to talk much about Vietnam this chapter at all. That's going to come in a few weeks when we talk about the 1960s. I just wanted to recap Korea. I wanted to recap military containment. Hopefully you remember economic containment, like the Marshall Plan. If we're giving you money to rebuild your economy, that could be viewed as financial containment. We're providing you with military aid or committing troops, you have military. Now we're going to talk about, guys, now we're on slide 20. We're going to talk about containing communism domestically. Now, if you guys really want something to do, and you know it's not a big deal to rent a movie on Amazon, get Trumbo. This is where you should get that movie Trumbo and watch it. It probably cost you $1.99. That's about a famous Hollywood screenwriter, and 10 of them actually. They're basically blacklisted for being communists. They can't get any work. All of the major movie producers refuse to hire them for any work. There's a huge amount of political pressure. Oh, Annabelle said it's on Hulu. That's awesome, Annabelle. So if you have Hulu, apparently you can watch it on there. We would have been watching it in class. We would have spent 2 days watching it. And I think you guys will really like it. It'll keep your attention. And it's all about, this is called the Second Red Scare. This is the era of communist hysteria in the post-World War II area. People know this is the era of McCarthyism, but he's really going to come on the scene in 1953, folks. Early on, McCarthy's a little bit late to the game. So when you hear Red Scare, we also know it as McCarthyism, but be aware that we're hauling people up in front of Congress and making them testify. Hope says, what the first Red Scare? 1920s, Hope. That's like the Palmer raids and the deportation of all those communists. And anytime you're talking about either one of these events, folks, you should reference the other. They always want you to connect different periods in U.S. history. So if you're talking about the Red Scare of the 1940s, talk about the Red Scare of the 1920s as well. Again, that's the Palmer raids and the fear of Bolshevism in the 20s after that bombing of Wall Street. But again, 1950s, guys, we have a very important vocabulary term that's on the slide called the HUAC. HUAC. It stands for House Un-American Activities Committee. And that oh, dude, I'm so stupid. I forgot to hit the record button. I'm going to hit the record button. Shit. How do I do that? So,
yeah,
it shows it's recording on my screen.
Okay. Well, I don't know who did that or how it's
Lachlan.
doing that.
I started recording it, so if you want, I can try and send you the recording. So you
Please
have
do. Perfect. I think anytime one person records it, it puts that message up there so everyone knows.
Yeah,
Em, you're a lifesaver. Thank you. So Em's recording it. Thank you. Whenever we're done, Em, if you could just find a way to share it with me, I would really appreciate that.
Okay,
great.
I'll try.
Perfect. And then I'll post this on my YouTube channel. I'm glad I noticed that only 5 minutes in instead of 30, but Em's got our back. Thanks, Em. Guys, so we're on right now, and we're talking about HUAC, House Un-American Activities Committee. And the name of that should strike some fear into you itself. This is people determining, quote, what is American and what is un-American. We are going to basically force people to testify in front of Congress. We are going to pull them up and ask them, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? And if you have, they're going to ask you to name names and say, who else do you know that's been a member of the Communist Party? And guys, it's not that being a communist is illegal, but it will destroy your professional career. You are not going to get hired for many jobs. You might lose your job. If you work in certain industries, you're not going to get any more contracts. It's essentially social and political and essentially economic suicide to be associated with the Communist Party. If you're outed as a communist, it can ruin your life socially. That's really what that movie Trumbo is all about. They've identified a couple communists in Hollywood, and they're trying to get them to out others, getting them to name names. And so, you know, you'll see that exchange in the testimony in the court scenes, where Rennie, have you now, or are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
No.
Rennie says no, but if he says yes, they're going to ask him to name names. And if he names Andrea and Lachlan and Amelia, then you guys, your careers are done essentially. So it's really, they're a bunch of show trials, and it's essentially putting people on trial for their political beliefs. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Living under communism sucks, but it's not illegal to be living in the United States and have radical left-wing thoughts. It's also not illegal to live in the United States and be a member of the Communist Party, but that's what they're doing. They're hauling people up in front of the U.S. Congress, and they're essentially subpoenaing people. You have to respond to a subpoena if it sends you. That's a subpoena is an order to appear in court. Just know what the House Un-American Activities Committee is. It creates a climate of fear in the United States, folks. So if I'm writing an essay on the Cold War, I'm going to say a major impact of the Cold War on the United States, and I would probably try to write this down if I were you. You might not need to. It's pretty simple. But if I'm writing on the Cold War, I'm going to say a major impact of this war on the United States is a serious increase in the fear and paranoia of communists living among us. Evidence of that is going to then be seen in the House Un-American Activities trials or the trials that Senator Joseph McCarthy will launch. Guys, again, this is not people who've committed a crime. Almost no one is charged with a crime after these trials. They fail to uncover any serious communist plot or anything like that. The climate that you're dealing with. Simply know what it is. If you watch Trumbo, you'll get all sorts of great information. I don't think I need to spend any more time on this slide. At the end of these trials that McCarthy will run in the 1950s, he kind of gets embarrassed. Americans get fed up with him. He really is kind of acting like the Donald Trump of the day. Andre, you're raising your hand. Look at that.
How long did this Red Scare last? Like,
40,
how long were people super paranoid about
so
it?
the trials themselves are from like 46 to like 54. So it's like 8 years of
wow.
trials. But the
Okay.
fear of communism goes all the way up until the 1990s. We're not like pulling people up in front of Congress and making them testify and asking them in the 70s and 80s, but there's still a fear of communism big time in the 70s and 80s. The trials themselves are 46 to 54. The Hollywood screenwriters, all the blacklisting in Hollywood, that's like 47, 48, 49. All of those Hollywood screenwriters refuse to answer the questions, and they're put in jail for a year for refusing to answer Congress's questions. That's contempt of Congress. I recommend when you're bored sitting around, you watch Trumbo. It's free on Hulu, or it'll cost you $1 something on it. Know what HUAC is. That's a vocab term. House Un-American Activities Committee. And know what McCarthyism is. Just what. If you go down to the next slide, guys. This one's really important. Another vocab term. I guarantee you it's on your quiz. How's the lag today? Give me a thumbs up if lag is not as good today. Sweet. So this is better than Facebook, yeah. Or not Facebook, YouTube. Better than YouTube. Sweet. Excellent. Guys, this next vocab on slide 21, Loyalty Security Program. You've got to know what this is. This is a program launched by President Harry Truman to investigate people working in the government. Now, with the House Un-American Activities Committee, they would subpoena anyone that they felt that they wanted to. Private citizens, you name it. The Loyalty Security Program, which you will be tested on. I promise you, it's on your quiz on Friday. It's a government program where they're investigating workers within the government themselves. They're getting into your background. They're looking into your previous political affiliations. They're looking at who you voted for. They're looking at what social groups you might have belonged to. And remember, guys, during the era of the 1930s, there was a lot of left-wing groups in the United States, and a lot of people, especially academics, floated in these left-wing circles. Maybe you weren't a full-on communist, but hey, man, being a member of a radical left-wing organization in the 1930s could get you subpoenaed in the 1940s. It could also potentially get you fired under the Loyalty Security Program. Again, know what this is, folks. This is a government program where we are investigating the backgrounds of hundreds of thousands of federal employees. What this will also lead to, and this is a good thing to add for analysis, this leads to something, a continuation of something called the Lavender Scare. You investigate people's backgrounds, you often find out what their sexuality is, folks. This will lead to hundreds and hundreds of gays and lesbians being dismissed from their jobs with the federal government. And part of the reason is straight up homophobia. But also, folks, even if you don't think about homophobia for a second, if it's not okay to be out of the closet, it's not okay in the 1950s to be out of the closet. Are you easily blackmailed? So that's the fear they have. The fear that, oh my gosh, we have a gay man working in a top secret program. I don't give a shit if he's gay, but what if he's like blackmailed? He could be compelled to give up sensitive government information, otherwise have his sexuality revealed to the public and have his wife or his marriage destroyed. So you have the straight up fear of homophobia. And then also, guys, you have the fear that homosexuals can be easily blackmailed. So what they find in the loyalty security investigations is, yes, they find some communists, but they also find a whole bunch of other reasons to dismiss people because they might be security risks. It's a centralization of power, and it really just represents the American government's fear of communism itself. It's pervasive through American society, is simply what I'm trying to convey. You got to know what the loyalty security program is. We are going to investigate people. I see some stuff in the chat that I missed. I guess it's all good. Yeah, keep it time. Okay, sweet. Back on screen. Do you know what HUAC is? You know who Joseph McCarthy is, and you know what the loyalty security program. Next slides, guys, are just pictures. There's Joseph McCarthy. I'm on slide 22 now. It's just a picture of Joseph McCarthy in the trials. You should know his face. And then the next one, 23, is really, really important. Look at slide 23. It's just a picture, but please look at slide 23. You'll see Joseph McCarthy in the center. He's holding up that piece of paper. And then next to him is a gentleman named Roy Cohn, who was Donald Trump's lawyer all the way through the 1980s. Now, it's just a weird kind of twist and a connection there. And you've got Donald Trump's future lawyer, Roy Cohn, at the same trial. Guys, you could really talk about McCarthyism and the Red Scare for a long time. It's a fascinating topic. A lot of Americans have their lives destroyed during this period. And I want you to really quickly scroll all the way to 29. Go to 29 real quick. All the way to 29. All right, folks. So on slide 29, you have a famous book written by an author that some of you might have heard of. His name is Arthur Miller, and the book is The Crucible. And that book, I think some of you guys may have read it in English class in the last couple of years. It's all about the Salem witch trials. And it's no accident that it comes out in 1953. Arthur Miller is making a critique of the Red Scare. He is essentially calling the HUAC trials a witch hunt. Anyhow, Haley, you watched the movie in layman. Good work, Susan. Good work, Susan. They would love to see that on the AP test, guys. Like, that could give you an analysis point. A lot of times that 6th analysis point or 7th analysis point is really hard to get. A lot of us can use some evidence, but a lot of us have some trouble getting that deep analysis point. You can connect a historical event like the Red Scare to a popular piece of literature. That, to me, is showing a level of analysis. So when you think of Red Scare, please think of the 1920s Red Scare to connect it to. Of literature, Arthur Miller's book, The Crucible, about the Salem witch trials. He's just simply making a critique about how this Red Scare is a witch hunt. I guess you can scroll back up to 24. Go back up to 24 real quick. 24. Again, this is more detail than we probably need, folks, but just to illustrate how paranoid we are, that's Robert Oppenheimer on slide 24. He is the creator of the Manhattan Project, and he's kind of the father of the atomic bomb. But he becomes an outspoken anti-nuclear advocate. He does not want nuclear proliferation. He thinks it's bad. He doesn't like that we use them in Japan. He really doesn't want us to make a hydrogen bomb. Remember, a hydrogen bomb is like 1,000 times more powerful than the atom bombs we've been using. He is actually viewed as a security threat. He was also a left-winger in the 1930s. He's that typical Berkeley liberal left-wing elitist scientist. The government views him as a security threat. He is hauled up in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee for a security clearance hearing, and he'll end up having his security clearance revoked. Recall if it's HUAC that he has to testify in front of, or if it's some other security board he has to testify in front of. That detail is not so important. Be aware, guys. They're so suspicious and paranoid about communism. Literally going to haul up the father of the atomic bomb, one of the world-renowned scientists, Robert Oppenheimer, and revoke his security clearance. He has access. He's never charged with a crime. He didn't do anything illegal, but he has access to the government secrets, and they view him as a security threat and a risk, and they're going to revoke his credentials. I don't need to say much on 25. Just a couple images. Better red than dead. Famous sign. A couple other funny cartoons that make me laugh, like the one in the bottom right corner. Look behind the mask. Communism is death. And then the one about wanting your child. They want your child. I like that. Cool. 27, we don't need to say much about, folks. It's just a picture of a labor demonstration that is also saying, sweep the commies off the waterfront. Oh, Annabelle says you can't hear when I turn away. Sorry, Annabelle. I'll do my best to keep looking. 28. Look at 28. You got to know who the Rosenbergs are, folks. These are atomic spies. So when conservatives are afraid of communists, they're not totally wrong. there are actually communist spies working for the government. Proof of that, and they're not nearly as widespread as the hystericals would make you think, folks, but there legitimately are communist spies in the government. The evidence of that is the Rosenbergs. Now, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg are executed for treason in peacetime. It's a fascinating story. You don't have to know that much about it, but you have to know the basics. So Julius's brother, and it's also, there's some anti-Semitism in play here as well, guys. There's always a connection between Bolshevism and Judaism. There's always a hint of anti-Semitism in here, and so that was funny, Josh. Julius's brother works on the Manhattan Project. Julius's brother, and I don't know his brother's name, it's not important, but Julius's brother works on the Manhattan Project. He passes nuclear secrets to his brother, and they end up passing them to the Soviet embassy. Folks, it's obviously a much more complex story, but Julius, through his brother who works on the Manhattan Project, steals nuclear secrets and passes them to the Russians. It's undeniable. It happened. His wife Ethel allegedly helped him cover it up. Very, very interesting, complex story. Ended up being arrested, tried for treason, and executed. Hey, it's BB's birthday. Hi, BB. Happy birthday, BB. Maybe we'll sing to you later, but I'm on a roll right now. You guys just have to know who the Rosenbergs are. So it adds, if I'm talking about the Rosenbergs, it adds fuel to the hysterical fire. Is there a movie about the Rosenbergs? You know, Ella, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of a Hollywood movie of the Rosenbergs, but if you go on YouTube and type in the Rosenbergs, you'll probably find some nerdy documentaries that you could stand to watch for 15 minutes before they get so dry that you have to turn them off. I don't have a good video clip for the Rosenbergs, unfortunately, but I guarantee you the kind of shit that I would show you in class, you could find it on YouTube if you just type in Rosenbergs. Probably going to be boring, but you can probably get 15 minutes worth of it. Know who the Rosenbergs are, and why it's significant, guys, is because even though I kind of make fun of the hysterics, I'm not afraid of the communists. They're not totally wrong. There are communist spies in the government, so it's important to understand what the Rosenbergs represent. They represent that, see, I told you, this is why we got to investigate. People like Joseph McCarthy, this would add so much fuel to his fire and be like, I told you, this is why we got to root out communism wherever we can find it. They're spies amongst us. All right. So I'm now on, let's see. Go down to 31, folks, slide 31. I'm going to breeze through this next part really quickly. This is so much better to do in person, so I'm just going to try to breeze through this. We are going to start testing nuclear weapons on a really unprecedented scale, and we're going to develop an arsenal, and you've probably heard me say this before. On slide 35, you can see the numbers. By the time that I am alive, I'm born in 1987. When I'm born in 1987, the United States has over 35,000 nuclear weapons in the country. We're going to start a massive campaign of nuclear proliferation. And you've got to understand this topic. It doesn't make sense for a lot of people. I'm going to do my best. You'd say, Mahoney, why do we need 35,000 nukes? Wouldn't like a couple hundred be okay? What do we really need 35,000 nuclear weapons for? And the answer is very simple. Folks, we have to have that many nuclear weapons because we've got to have redundancy. Because if the Soviet Union attacks the United States and takes out our nuclear weapons in 80% of the locations, we have to have enough capability to still make them suffer in the meantime. Here's what I mean by that. If the Soviet Union, Josh says it's like walking around with your dick out of your gun pistol. Maybe. It's called mutually assured destruction, folks. The only thing stopping an attack is knowing, and this is really important, write this down. I don't know if my explanation worked the first time, so here it is again. It's really important you write this down. Mutually assured destruction. The acronym is MAD, M-A-D, mutually assured destruction. What that means is, and this is why we have to have 35,000 nuclear weapons, according to their logic. We have to have so much capability to destroy them that is the only thing stopping them from attacking us. I'll say that another way. Russia won't attack us, folks, because they know they might destroy Washington, D.C. They might destroy New York City. They might destroy Los Angeles. But we've got so many nuclear weapons hidden in the middle of cornfields in Iowa and Nebraska that we will still have enough to destroy Moscow. We'll still have enough to destroy St. Petersburg. We'll still have enough to make Russia essentially done. They might kill us, but we will also simultaneously kill them. You've got to understand that is the reason why we build so many nuclear weapons. It is called mutually assured destruction. It's viewed as a defense system. The only thing preventing an attack is knowing that if they attack us, that they're also going to die. I don't know if that made sense, folks. I'll try it one more simple time. The Soviet Union can't attack us because they know that attacking the United States will mean their own destruction. They might get most of us. They might literally kill the president. They might destroy Washington, D.C. They might end Americans' way of life. But in doing so, we will simultaneously launch so much shit at them that their way of life is also going to be destroyed. It's called mutually assured destruction. If you don't understand, speak up. Let me know, because it's on your quiz. It's one of your quiz questions about mutually assured destruction. Obviously, guys, nuclear proliferation is a very complex topic. Lots of countries have nuclear weapons now. It's a pretty dicey, delicate situation, but we're only going to focus on this through the 60s and 70s and 80s. We, again, are building up a nuclear arsenal in an attempt, and this is called an arms race, an attempt to prove to the Russians that, hey, it doesn't matter what you guys do or how many nukes you get. We are going to build enough to still destroy you. We don't care if you've built a 1,000 megaton bomb that's bigger than anything we've built. So many, we can still destroy you. We don't care if you take out the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. If you do that, you yourselves are also going to be destroyed. The Soviet Union knows that, folks, and they are going to not attack us for that reason. That's the logic behind mutually assured destruction. I don't think I need to say anything else on it. That's mutually assured destruction. If you have a question on it, let me know. Next slide, guys. I'll go for, what's our time? I'm going to go for probably 5 more minutes. I want to try to keep this to 30 minutes today, so I'm going to go for about 5 minutes. Those slides down that I have 31 and 32, folks, that's where we do most of our testing. A little Pacific island called Bikini Atoll. That is what, does Russia also hide their nukes around the country or just leave them all on base? They absolutely hide them all over, guys. They are going to develop nuclear weapons that can be delivered on missiles pretty soon. Right now in the 40s and 50s, all of our nukes are flying around on planes. Guys, we literally have planes flying around Russian airspace 24 hours a day. We refuel them from the air. These planes don't land. We've got B-52 bombers hovering over Russian airspace, ready to bomb them. And this goes on for years and years at a time. These planes don't land. We refuel them in midair. They stay on constant alert 24 hours a day. It's freaking nuts. At 31 and 32, guys, that's just showing you Bikini Atoll. That is where we do most of our nuclear testing. We're going to move about 500 Pacific Islanders off of Bikini Atoll. And in one of our tests a couple years down the road, they're all going to get covered in nuclear radioactive fallout and dust. We misjudged the wind with one of our tests. Totally fucks up the Islanders. That we pretty gnarly. I've linked you down below, but the link's probably broken. 33. Great video. It's called Radio Bikini. You should watch it on YouTube. If you click that link, it might be broken, but just type in Radio Bikini into YouTube. It's an incredibly famous movie that came out in the 1970s. It's all 1970s footage. It's dry, it's boring, but it's freaking scary, folks. They will talk all about the test sites at Bikini. It's called Operation Crossroads. They'll talk about what happens to the Islanders. It's really, really worth watching when you're sitting around bored. I think there's a couple of comments. Okay. Alex, did Russia hide their nukes around the country or leave them all in one base? Alex, they had them all over the place. They had them outside of the country. Just to make the point, Russia will bring them to Cuba at one point here. And then Josh says, I heard the U-2 didn't actually see any nukes in JFK. So Josh, what the U-2 spy planes found were not nukes. They found the sites to launch the nuclear weapons. They found the silos. They found the delivery systems. The warheads were not yet delivered. We know the warheads were not on Cuba, but they were on the way. So not that that's like an important detail for the quiz or anything like that, Josh. You'll never be asked that level of detail. But just for your own information, the U-2 spy planes, what they see the infrastructure for the nuclear silos. They don't actually see nuclear warheads, but they fully were going to be there. They fully were on the way. So I don't view that as like alarmist or anything like that. Bikini Bottom is totally right, Jack. That is exactly where it comes from. Aiden says, is there a reason why the number of nuclear warheads is a lot less around 2005? Yes, Aiden. Good question, Aiden, my man. Aiden, you get so many points for asking that question. Aiden, the reason why we limit nuclear weapons is going to be due to treaties. And we don't talk about that in this chapter, but I'm going to tell you about it right now. It's called SALT, S-A-L-T, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. And essentially, Aiden, both the United States and Russia agrees that having 35,000 nukes is not a good idea, and we agree to reduce our numbers at certain intervals. Those are called arms reduction treaties. Starting in the 80s, they start to go down a ton. That's because starting in the 1980s is when we start those arms reduction treaties. As far as 2005 aid, that's just when the graph stops. We don't have this graph doesn't include data after 2005. Down in the 80s because of those treaties. SALT, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, and it stops in 2005 because that's where the data stops. Annabelle, since that video clip is deleted, just type in radio bikini into YouTube. What other countries are involved in the nuclear race creating weapons? At this time, Heather, really no one. Other countries are going to get it. Great Britain, we're going to give the bomb to them. France is going to get the bomb. India is going to get the bomb. Other countries are going to get the bomb, but no one is building up these levels of numbers. So Heather says, what other countries are involved in the nuclear race? It's just the United States. Now, I want to say there's like 9 or 10 countries that have the nuclear bomb. Iran is going to probably get it one day. That's what a lot of us want to stop. But India has it. Pakistan has it. North Korea has it. Great Britain, France, the United States. I'm forgetting a couple others, but there's like 8 or 9 countries that have it right now, Heather. That's really a modern phenomenon. The nuclear proliferation of the Cold War, just focus on the United States and Russia. Dre, great question. Not so much until the 1970s. There's a famous nuclear meltdown called 3 Mile Island in the 70s, and that's really when we're going to get paranoid about it. We had a lot of nuclear power plants in the country. We haven't built a single one since 1977 when we had that nuclear disaster. There's certainly some people speaking out about against it in the 50s and 60s, but it's not really going to be a major point of concern until the 1970s. I guarantee you in the 50s and 60s, you've got anti-nuclear advocates. Their voice is not really going to be loud and amplified, and it's certainly not going to be getting press until the 1970s. That's when we start doing Earth Day, and really more environmental awareness comes out in the 1970s. And a lot of environmental awareness has to do with the nuclear meltdown at 3 Mile Island. We'll talk about that in a few chapters when we do the 1970s and stuff. Great question. Was the general public aware of all this at the time? Jackson, excellent question. The reason they are aware of it, scroll down and look to number 38, slide 38. This will be the last thing we do. Slide 38. What are you looking at? First, type it in. What are you looking at on slide 38? Type it in or yell it. Unmute yourself and yell it. What are you looking at?
A bunker.
A bomb shelter. Totally. It's a bomb shelter, folks. My grandparents had one in their basement in Tacoma, Washington. That is why we know Americans know what's going on, folks. Americans are being encouraged to prepare for nuclear war, folks. They are being told to create nuclear shelters, fallout shelters are what they're called. They're being told to stockpile supplies. Look down, guys. This is another amazing video. Please open YouTube right now. You have to open YouTube. Do it. Open YouTube and type in duck and cover. You have to watch this video. It's required. Open YouTube. Type.
Does the link work?
I don't think so. All those links I put on a year ago, and they seem to all be broken. Jack Walsh, my British grandma got. BB says it works. Maybe it will work. I don't know. It's got a turtle named Bert. It's Bert the turtle. Haley, what's up?
Oh, I was asking if it was the one with the turtle. Okay.
It is. Watch it, guys. It's 9 minutes long. It should make you laugh. It's what to do when a nuclear bomb falls. It's kind of funny. That's it.
There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got
Thank you, Haley.
He knew what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked
Haley,
and
for
covered.
the purpose of the stream, we'll pause. That is it. That is awesome. I love you, Haley. That was so great. Folks, please watch it. If you want to understand what it's like growing up in the 1950s, watch Duck and Cover. Talk to your grandparents, folks. Ask them what it was like living under the threat of nuclear war. That's what that video is all about. That's what bomb shelters are all about. We're living in a really weird time right now. I would say the only other time that's comparable to this, guys, in American history is probably the threat of nuclear war, or possibly living in the times of civil war or like other pandemics like that. But it's kind of unprecedented. There's been a handful of situations that I think are comparable, but off topic now. I think we should probably wrap it up, folks. Just time-wise, but we talked about the second Red Scare and McCarthyism. We talked about the House Un-American Activities Committee. Talked about like Arthur Miller's The Crucible and really a critique. We talked about the Loyalty Security Program. We talked about the Rosenbergs really briefly. There are actually communist spies, not nearly as many as they'd want you to think, but no, that they actually are communist spies. And we very briefly, guys, talked about nuclear proliferation. I really would like it if you watch 2 videos. You don't have to, but you should. You should watch Duck and Cover, and you should watch Radio Bikini. They're really eye-opening, I think. BB. BB, you're part of the tribe. You know that Rosenberg is an incredibly common name. Come on, BB. There's probably like 20 Rosenbergs at every synagogue, BB. Come on. So nuclear proliferation. And no mutually assured destruction. Mad. If you want another great film to watch on nuclear weapons, it's on YouTube. Day After Trinity. So 3 videos you could watch if you're bored. Day After Trinity. Duck and Cover. Duck and Cover is 9 minutes. You should watch it. And Radio Bikini. Did the average American citizen... Well, let me see that comment again. That was like a good one. Did the average American citizen know how much damage a nuclear weapon could do? Yes, but they're not going to really find out until like the 50s. The government's going to hide the danger of fallout, guys. Once and so, for example, Alex, that's a really good question. Remember how I told you that natives from Bikini Atoll, and we move them, and then later nuclear fallout falls on them? That's not until the 1950s, and it's not until that incident that a lot of Americans are aware that, you know, the danger from a nuke isn't the blast. The danger is the fallout. So we're becoming more and more aware of that, Alex. Government is not very forthcoming, and not until a bunch of incidents occur where essentially we figure out that, you know, it's the fallout that's really dangerous here. So the American people, they're aware, but it's kind of a slow awareness coming. They are, I would say, Alex, they know, but it's a slow awareness. It's a slow coming of awareness. And really, it's the fallout that you want to be wary of. Hopefully that answers your question, Alex. Duck and Cover, Radio Bikini, and Day After Trinity. I really appreciate you guys being in here. It's recorded. Em will get me the video, and I'll post it on my YouTube channel. I'll leave this open for another 60 seconds in case someone has a question. Feel free to unmute and ask away. It looks like this one was way better than YouTube.
Look at
You
my
have a beautiful
cat.
cat. But it sounds like this Google Hangout was way better than YouTube, everyone, yeah? Cool.
It was.
No questions, folks?
Mahoney, what's your YouTube channel?
It's just my my name, actually. If you type in, and I can't believe that, Addison, but type in Timothy Mahoney, and that is my YouTube channel. I can't freaking believe that is my actual handle, but it is. And there's like 3 videos. There's like 2 lectures on there, and then a random concert that's on there. So yeah, I'll get this posted on later this afternoon. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. What else is up? All right, Andrea. Actually, not Andrea. I just am looking at your face. Em, go ahead and stop recording, Amelia.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Em. I really appreciate that.
Will do.
Now that we're not recording,
Uh-huh.
it won't be soon. How are you guys? I miss your face.
Tired.
Bored. Tired.
Bored? Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Bored.
Yeah, definitely bored.
Did not know what to do. It could hurt you in different ways.
Just wait until the internet breaks in a couple days. We're all screwed.
Oh, God.
Come
No.
on, can you imagine how many
Tony.
people, like, the internet breaks on me all the time when, like, we aren't overloading. Can you imagine everyone sitting around? Streaming
My
everything?
Social distancing and blackout.
Oh, God.
Same here.
Mahoney, get a Switch so you can play online.
If I do, I don't know if I am, Andrea, but if I do, I promise you'll be the first person to play.
You need to do it.
I'm just
It's worth it.
And
Ooh.
you know, Bethany, that's a good question. I'm going to add probably 1 or 2 more readings for next week. So you can do them all this week, but I'm going to add 1 or 2 more for this week. Or for this week. Bethany noticed that I gave you all 4 this week. I'm going to add 1 or 2 more. You still have to do the same number of reading notes, just 1 reading note per week. I am going to add that answer. Someone entertain me. We got like 17 people here. And it might even still be recording. My screen still says it's recording.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
mine
says
says
it's
it's
recording.
Maybe someone else is recording it. So, whoa, someone's at like a disco. Chris is at like a disco.
Square share? Yes.
Yeah, we can square share.
Yeah.
The topic for square share is the I don't know. It should be something about being quarantined. What should it be? Funniest thing that's happened to you during quarantine? I don't know.
I haven't done anything. But like
Yeah.
homework.
Yeah. This sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We
Who else we got? We have a couple people I haven't heard of. I haven't heard from Elle or hi Gianna. Gianna's here. Van Wheel. Olivia is here.
I've just been with like my dog the entire time. I don't know.
You got a cute Frenchie.
But if you can hear him, he's very loud.
No, he's cute. I like him.
Oh, Lachlan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Um,
had this with me the entire time.
Oh, no, kitty.
My dog is just like sitting on my lap with her head on my computer.
Mr. Mahoney, are you gonna
Chuckle.
What's that, Liv Page?
Are you gonna lecture tomorrow?
Yeah, why not? I mean, these aren't you know, obligatory, so I've got nothing better to do than go live at like 9:30 or whatever. So I might as well. Let me ask you guys: is this time okay, or should we do it later in the day at like 2 p.m.? And most
we do it
This time's
later.
good.
This is good.
This
I
is
like
good.
I like this time because it gets me up early.
Please type your response, because I think that a lot of teachers are kind of like cramming shit in between like 9 and 11.
All the teachers are doing it later.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of you are saying that like 9:30 is okay. So there might be a couple conflicts, but not for everyone.
Maybe like 10 instead of 9:30.
What? Oh yeah. My another classroom goes live at 9:30. So if we could push it back a little bit, that would be nice.
Do you think? Okay. I'll do whatever. I'm flexible. My part of me was thinking we should do like 2 o'clock.
No.
And Layman's doing something tomorrow around the same. Okay, so let's push it tomorrow. Tomorrow, guys, I'm gonna do it later because is Layman doing something tomorrow at 9:30?
No,
Well,
she's
I
doing
have a
something all
seminar
day.
She's doing something every day.
Yeah,
Okay,
but like I have a
so-
seminar today at 11. So if we do it late, I just don't know what time the seminars are tomorrow. It's like some people might miss that, but that might be important.
The majority of like all the seminars are between like 9 and 2:30.
Okay. Well, then I'll tell you
I mean,
what.
it's also only for tomorrow though, so it'll be fine. We're not
Okay,
going to be
well-
out of school till just tomorrow. So
Okay. Well, in general, I'm gonna keep them at 9:30, and unless I hear some other feedback, I'll keep them at 9:30 in general. Do you think tomorrow? And I'm just trying to cater to the AP Langers right now. Do you think tomorrow I should do it later for tomorrow?
I don't know. My seminar's today.
Yeah, mine's today.
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we're just gonna keep it at 9:30, and whatever. The video will be cached on YouTube, so if some people miss it, it'll be stored. I hope. This one
Okay.
might have. I'm sure I'll be able to get this from M. She started the recording instantly, and I'm sure she'll be able to get it to me. But there's a slight chance this one might not be on there. But won't forget to record it.
Recording right now. I don't know if that means anything.
Yeah,
I bet you someone else is still recording it because I don't even think because M was recording it. She's not even in this anymore. So someone else is still recording it, which is no big deal. It's great. But